The Wizards take on the OKC Thunder. 12:30 p.m. Eastern tip-off. OKC's the 9.5-point favorite. Totals 224 flat. The Wizards are plus $4 for an upset win. And if you like Washington plus 9.5, they're minus $1.10 to cover. I'm 3-0 my last three board member tier package plays on patreon.com/BrockPage. I'm also 5-1 in my last six premium picks in that same category. If you want access to these premium selections and you want to get in on the action, link for that website is in the description section below. And once again, that's patreon.com/BrockPage. Now, Washington hasn't won a game yet in the bubble, 0-5 straight up since the restart. They're currently 21 games below 500, and they find themselves in 10th place in the East. Washington also ranks in the bottom three in offensive rebounding, bottom three in points allowed. They're just 3-7 against the spread in their last 10, and they're missing Wall, Beal, Bertans, and Matthews. OKC on the other side has won 5 out of their last regular season games themselves. 62% against the spread thus far for the season. They are just cashing for their backers. They rank in the top 10 in offensive field goal percentage, top 3 in defending the three ball. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is scoring 19 a game along with 6 rebounds and 3 assists. Danilo Gallinari's also averaging 19 a game along with 5 boards. And Chris Paul is also 17th in the league in assists per night. He's averaging 6.7 assists along with 18 points a game. OKC has climbed into the 5th seed currently in the West. They're just one game behind the Rockets for 4th place. Now, total-wise, 4 out of OKC's last 5 ball games stayed under the total of 224. They also went 70% to the under in their last 10. Meanwhile, on the Washington side, their last 4 straight games stayed under the posted total themselves. So with all that said and done, give me the OKC Thunder minus 9.5 and the under 224 in that game. Before we go ahead and move on, just want to take another quick timeout and welcome you to the video. Got some lines and personal leans out for Sunday's NBA basketball action. Happy Sunday to you. Hopefully you are having an outstanding weekend, a refreshing weekend. You certainly deserve it. But anyway, before we dive into some more free content right here on YouTube, I just have to quickly remind you once again that we are 7-2 in our last 9 MLB tier package plays on patreon.com/BrockPage. We're also 7-3 in our last 10 daily best plays on that site as well. That package goes for just $1.99, by the way. So if you want some more information on how you can join in on the action, link for that site is in the description section below. And once again, that's patreon.com/BrockPage. And moving on, we're going to take a look at the Memphis Grizzlies taking on the Toronto Raptors, 2 p.m. Eastern start time. The Raptors are laying 6.5, numbers 219 and a hook. The Grizzlies are plus 220 for an outright win. And if you like Memphis plus 6.5, they're minus 105 to cover the spread. Little bit of value there. Now, Memphis has lost 4 out of their 5 games in the bubble thus far. 2-6 against the spread in their last 8, dating back to before the shutdown. Winslow Jones and Jackson Jr. are still out. This Memphis offense ranks in the bottom 10 in three-point percentage, bottom 10 in points allowed. They're taking on a Toronto team who's currently in 2nd place in the East, officially 30 games above 500. Toronto's won 7 out of their last 8 regular season ball games and covered the number 6 times during that stretch. They currently rank in the top 5 in shooting the 3-ball, top 3 in points allowed. Now, Serge Ibaka's also been upgraded to probable for this afternoon's game. That is great news for Toronto fans and Toronto backers. He's averaging 15 points a night and 8 rebounds. Pascal Siakam's also scoring 23 a night, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. And Kyle Lowry scoring 20 a game, 5 rebounds, 7.5 assists, which ranks 7th in the NBA. Now, the Raptors have successfully covered the number in 7 out of their last 9 versus the Western Conference. And when it comes to the total in this one, 4 out of Toronto's last 5 regular season games stayed under the total of 219.5. The Raptors are also 5-0 to the under in their last 5 games versus the Southwest Division. The Grizzlies on the other side, they saw 3 out of their last 4 games stay under the posted total themselves. Give me the Raptors minus 6.5 and the under 219.5 in that contest. Next matchup, it is going to be Spurs, Pels, 3 p.m. East. The Pels are laying 3, totals 239. San Antonio's plus 120 for some money line cash. They're also minus a $1.10 to cover the 3. The Spurs are coming fresh off a solid 9-point victory over the Denver Nuggets. They put up 36 points in both the first and third quarters, respectively. And despite Zeller and Forbes being ruled out for today's contest, San Antonio still ranks in the top 10 in scoring, top 5 in three-point percentage. DeMar DeRozan's averaging 22 a game, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. Patty Mills still averages 12 a game and 2 assists as well. Very consistent out of Patty. He's averaged a dozen a game for like the entire season. But anyway, San Antonio 6-4 straight up in their last 10 with the Pelicans, 7-2 against the spread in their last 9 against the Southwest Division. And speaking of which, this Pelican squad has lost 3 out of 5 in the bubble, 2-3 against the spread during that span. The Pels are in the bottom 3 in shooting from the stripe, bottom 5 in points allowed. They've also dropped 7 out of their last 9 conference games. Now, total-wise, 4 out of New Orleans' 5 games in the bubble stayed well under the total of 239. They're officially 6-1 to the under in their last 7. Meanwhile, the Spurs saw 3 out of their last 6 regular season games stay under the 239 themselves. Give me San Antonio plus 3 and the under 239 in that contest. Next game, Magic, Celtics, 5 p.m. Eastern start time. The Celtics are the 6.5 point favorite, totals 220. The Magic are plus 220 for an upset win. And if you like Orlando plus 6.5, they're catching even money to cover. Pretty good equity in that number there. But, despite catching pretty good value here with regard to the spread, Orlando's still missing Isaac and Aminu. And keep this in mind, Michael Carter-Williams and Aaron Gordon are listed as day-to-day. They might not play today either. The Magic is coming fresh off a 108-101 loss to a Simmons-less Philadelphia team for the greater portion of that game. Orlando has also lost their last 3 straight, and they find themselves in the bottom 5 in offensive field goal percentage. Now, Boston, on the other side, they've won their last 2 straight, along with 3 out of their last 4. They had marquee victories over the likes of Toronto, Brooklyn, and Portland during that stretch. Now, Boston's also 4-2 ATS in their last 6, depending on where you're shopping at, along with ranking in the top 3 in points allowed. Very good defensively. The third place Celtics are led by Jason Tatum, who's scoring 23 a night, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. Kemba Walker's also averaging 21 a game, 4 boards, 5 dishes. Jaylen Brown, well, he's scoring an impressive 21 per contest as well. 6 rebounds, couple assists for him. Boston's officially 23 games above 500 for the season. Now, total-wise, the Celtics' last 2 straight got over the total of 220 points. 5 out of their last 6 regular season matchups also got over that number. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, a staggering 15 out of Orlando's last 17 regular season contests got over the total of 220 points themselves. Wow, that is an impressive statistic. Give me the Celtics minus 6.5 and the over 220 in that game. Next contest, the Sixers take on the Blazers. 6:30 p.m. Eastern start time. The Blazers are the 3.5 point favorite. Totals 228 and a hook. The Sixers are plus $1.35 to win it. And if you like Philly plus 3.5, they're catching even money to cover. But despite the loss of Ben Simmons, it's kind of an odd dynamic how well this Philly team plays when either Ben or Joel is hurt. Those guys, they play well without each other. The Sixers have quietly won their last 3 straight. They rank in the top 10 in offensive rebounding. They're also in the top 3 in defensive rebounding, and they find themselves just a half a game behind the Miami Heat for 4th place in the East. So these guys are right in the mix here. Joel Embiid's averaging 24 a night, 12 rebounds, 3 assists. Tobias Harris is also scoring 20 a game, along with 7 rebounds. Philly is in the top 5 in points allowed, very strong defensively, and they've gone 6-4 against the spread in their last 10 head-to-heads with Portland. And speaking of the Blazers, Rodney Hood's still out. Hassan Whiteside still day-to-day with that hip injury. The Blazers have lost 2 out of their last 4 and has covered just 42% of their games thus far for the season. They rank in the bottom 5 in points allowed, bottom 5 in defensive rebounding. Now, scoring-wise, the Blazers' last 2 straight flew over the total of 228.5. 9 out of their last 11 regular season games also got over that number. Meanwhile, on the Philly side, they are officially 80% of the over in their last 10 themselves. And of course, that dates back to the pre-shutdown days. But regardless, unpopular play here. Give me the Underdog Sixers plus 3.5 and the over 228.5 in that game. Next contest, Houston Rockets taking on the Sacramento Kings. 8 p.m. Eastern tip-off. The Rockets are -5, totals 231 flat. The Kings are the plus 180 underdogs on the money line. And if you'd like Sacramento to cover, they're plus 100, catching the 5. The Kings will have to go to work today without Rashawn Holmes. And, of course, Bagley's out for the season. Keep an eye on Bazemore. He's been listed as questionable for tonight's action as well. The Kings are just 1-4 straight up in the bubble, and they failed to cover the point spread in 5 out of their last 8, dating back to those pre-shutdown days. The Kings are currently 11 games below 500 in 13th place in the West. They're also in the bottom 5 in offensive rebounding, bottom 10 in scoring. They're taking on a Houston squad who's gone 8-2 straight up in their last 10 head-to-head meetings. The Rockets are currently 3-1 in the bubble, straight up, and they rank in the top 3 in the league in scoring. James Harden's averaging 34 a game, 6 rebounds, 8 assists. Harden's also averaging 2 steals a night as well. I think that particular stat goes overlooked. But anyway, Russell Westbrook, he's getting 27 a night himself, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2 steals for him as well. The Rockets are 6-2 straight up in their last 8 conference games, and they rank in the top 10 in defending the 3-ball. Now, total-wise, Houston's last 2 straight stayed under the total of 231. 5 out of their last 8 regular season games also stayed under that number. Meanwhile, on the Sacramento side of things, 2 out of their last 3 games officially stayed under the posted total themselves. So with all that in mind, give me the Houston Rockets -5 and the under 231 in that contest. And with that said, we're going to dive into our next and final matchup for the show. It's going to be the Brooklyn Nets versus the LA Clippers, 9 p.m. East. The Clippers are the 12.5 point favorite, totals 230 flat. The Nets are plus 750 for an upset win. And if you like the Nets catching the 12.5, they're plus $1 to cover the number. Now, Brooklyn's currently in 7th place in the East, and they've won 3 out of their last 4 games, despite virtually having an unrecognizable roster from opening day. Very banged up. Not a lot of key players playing, but still, the Nets have successfully covered the point spread in 5 out of their last 8 regular season games. They're taking on a Clippers squad who's got a banged up Patrick Beverley and Montrezl Harrell, both men listed as questionable. LA's also covered just 4 out of their last 10 head-to-head meetings with Brooklyn. So if you're into historical trends, it kind of leans toward the Nets in that particular category. LA's also just 1-5 against the spread in their last 6 versus the Atlantic Division. Unfortunately for Clippers backers, Kawhi's still officially listed as day-to-day, and this LA squad is notorious for announcing very late last-minute scratches, so essentially you hardly ever know who's going to get scratched before tip-off. But scoring-wise, LA's last 3 straight got over the total of 230 points. They're officially 4-2 to the over in their last 6. Meanwhile, on the Brooklyn side, 4 out of their last 7 stayed under the posted total themselves, which is really crazy. So I think we're going to lean toward the under here. Give me the Nets plus 12.5 and the under 230 in that game. And guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on Patreon. Once again, if you decide to pull the trigger and get a Patreon membership here today, just keep in mind we bill you the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. So today is the 9th. If you decide to sign up today, you're going to get billed today on the 9th. And then on September 1st. And then following that, you'll get billed on the 1st of every month. But anyway, guys, that is going to do it for me. Gotta thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And now, and with that said, happy Sunday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage.